Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Ty Watson, and I am here with the candidate from District 1, Fort Pierce, Henry Duhart, and some young community activists. And we're just going to sit here and just have a conversation about his platform and what he has to bring to the community and his platform. And we're just going to pass the mic around and everybody introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Zuma Gaiman.
Hi, my name is Shayla Lee.
Greetings, my name is Myron Williams.
And we have the one and only
Henry Duhart, and thank you guys for joining today. I'm excited because I was trying to figure out how I wanted to launch the campaign, and I thought it'd be best not to do like some cool video with a great song behind it, but just a conversation with other young people from Fort Pierce, Florida, who grew up in District 1. And I thought the best way to launch the campaign is just a conversation amongst this generation and, talk about what we want to see change.
Okay, so we're just gonna talk about a little bit of your plan for District 1, and on your platform is build the workforce. And I just want to get a little idea of your idea of building the workforce. Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so building the workforce is simple. I just basically want to update and advance the resume of the residents in District 1. Right now, we have a lot of people who, are working jobs that are definitely not in the wage that it should be. We all know that we've been fighting for higher minimum wages, and unfortunately, too many of those within our district have to work those types of jobs. So I support trade work, and I think it's kind of been evident. I'm pretty sure some of us know someone who's recently probably gotten into a trade, and the financial liberty that they've received from doing that is simple. Usually can get certified within 6 months to a year, sometimes a year and a half. And trade is not just like manufacturing, but there are certifications also in medical fields. I myself has a cousin who maybe 2 years ago, though we both started off in college together, she came back, and 2 years ago she got certified, I think, in like x-rays or something, and now she's already like the supervisor of the clinic out in PSL. So trade work is so many different types. It's faster to be certified, and you can get right into the field, and you make way more money. We're talking about jobs that start off at $20, $25, $30 an hour. So you think about the demographic here in Fort Pierce. A lot of times it's a parent, a son, a nephew in one home, but maybe the son and the nephew are working minimum wage jobs. So now you're able to increase not only personal income but household income in one home, and over time that's going to allow us to be able to do a lot of the other things we need to kind of fight gentrification, increasing our capital as a community. So build a workforce is simply me reaching out to an organization that exists already, like Green Work Task Force, maybe working with Ms. Jefferson or the new president of the IRC building that's at the Blackburn Center on 29th and D, and using that to train people and give as many free certifications as way as possible. I think there's grant funding out there to get as many people in District 1 with multiple certifications so that we can have more capital to fight everything that's happening in our community.
We're just gonna open up the panel for discussions. So we're just gonna start off with you. Just go ahead and-
I guess I would just start by saying that I like the idea. It's a great idea, especially because college and university and things like that is not for everyone. It's not easy. I went to college in Nashville, in another state, and it was the most difficult thing ever. So I think it's a good idea. I think it'll bring a lot of prosperity to the community, a lot of money to families and youth. So I think it's a great idea.
I definitely agree with that. Like everything that you're doing to the community, I see a lot of achievements being done that needs to be done and what you're building off of. So as long as you just keep going forward for what you want to do, you have my full support and everything.
Love it. I love everything that I'm hearing. You have it's a great understanding. You delivered it very well. Certifications are very good. And like the young lady said earlier, college is not for everyone. Me and you both, we attended the one and only Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers. But it's not for everybody. And as a person that went to college and got 2 degrees, and now as an entrepreneur and I work for myself, it's more of a toll on you when you consider the time and the cost of what you paid to go to college, the things that you had to sacrifice, and everything you had to dedicate to get through. And once you finally get through it, it's not working the way you thought it would work. But when you work in these trades or when you go to these trade schools, there's a lot of times where in the process of in that trade school, you're already in conversations with people or potential jobs already. So once you do get that certification, you're almost just walking onto the job now. I feel like it's more of a graduation, work-related build, what's the word, relationship when you're in a trade. I feel like once you do that trade, a lot of people, take you more serious than sometimes the degrees, because when you get the degrees, they want to know, do you got the experience? So it's a double-edged sword, but I do believe in the trades of making everything better as well. So I support that.
And I definitely agree with that. As so, no, really, like just as someone who went that route and went the college route, and it just wasn't for me, and just for me to get a job doing what I was going to school for outside of that, and to just be doing what I'm doing in the community and people embracing it. That's just it amazes me that if you really put your mind to it and you study hard, and if it's something that you're passionate about, that you can really learn it and turn it into something that you couldn't even imagine that you could turn it into. So I'm really digging the trade schools and everything. No, I didn't do a trade. If you really want to say it, it was almost like an apprenticeship. Like I worked at a radio station, shout out 104.5, The Flame. They taught me everything, most of it, I should say. But yes, I worked under Cadillac Harris. He pretty much, taught me the game. And, from there, I kind of just took what he playing it, and I took it to the next level, just doing my own research and things like that.
And two, I would tie in that even so, like I said, trades come in different forms, and I would kind of consider that some kind of an apprenticeship.
Right.
So apprenticeships, trade, certifications, they all go together. So it's not just about learning a trade so that you can fix metal or bend metal or whatever, or learning a trade so you can learn how to do x-rays, but you could be in an apprenticeship at a radio station because that's who you are. And I feel like that's the route, especially a lot of youth in Fort Pierce should be directed to take, because we're that kind of a community. We're just we don't need 10 years. We need the capital, hands-on, and that's just how our community is built here in Fort Pierce. And I think we're doing a disservice to not give multiple.
And the second point that you bring up in your plan is secure the community. And I just want to know, what is your plan exactly to execute securing the community?
So for the Secure the Community plan, one of the things I want to do probably as soon as I get in office is figure out how I connect myself with and get a meeting with the Ring company, because I have the Ring as a service, and they already have a neighborhood feature, that if there's something that happens within your community, you're kind of notified, and they ask you whether or not you want to take, like, if something happens in your community and then maybe like a car goes by not too long after it, you have the ability to relinquish that small piece of information to like your local police force, whatever, without even having to come to your home and knocking on your door, because we all know that happens time and time again, especially shootings in Fort Pierce, where we go into these communities and we keep saying we got to stop the silence in these communities. But these are a lot of times senior citizens who are afraid, and I wouldn't expect them to just be talking to the police, because we still haven't fixed a lot of issues, so they're afraid. So this way, both young and older have the ability to help law enforcement by choice, because it would be up to you whether you gave them that piece of information, and increase our abilities to solve crimes, and I think decrease the likelihood of people to commit crime because of the likelihood to be caught. So one of the things I want to do is get the grant funding to supply as many people within District 1 with a home security camera. I kind of want to push home security as a human right. If you don't have security cameras for your home, you're just leaving your community up just for grabs from anybody. The highest thing we have in Fort Pierce is actually theft. We have, theft is a big thing. People getting robbed, senior citizens, families, and that's not okay, no matter who it is, no matter the color of the skin either. It's just not okay. We shouldn't have to live in unsafe communities. So I think supplying home security cameras is the least I could do as a commissioner to as many people within my district. And I think over time we'll see the stats of how we have less thefts, more crimes being solved due to this new simple way that you can help by not even being interviewed by an officer. You literally can just have your cell phone, be notified that something happened. Hey, we believe this might be the car. And Ring has a partnership with most local law enforcement to help people with that. Simultaneously, not just trying to increase catching people, but I think what we need to do is increase local people wanting to be a part of the police force. And I think we need to rebrand it in a way that makes sense. And I think we need to make it to where it's beneficial, because we all know that we compete with other police forces when it comes to benefits and salary. Right. So I think we need a better salary. I know that's easier said than done, so we need to figure out what that is. But I think we definitely need a better salary and benefits for our law enforcement, and then also put out some kind of promotion that gets more people, maybe they don't want to go to trade and maybe don't want to go to college, but they might want to serve in their local law enforcement. And they have the experience of living here and growing up here that I think will allow them to police the community much better. So simultaneously increasing security and home security within our community, especially for senior citizens and families and homeowners and just people who live in the Fort Pierce area, and also rebranding and supporting the programs that exist to recruit more local natives and residents of Fort Pierce to the law enforcement with better pay and benefits, so that we can keep them here. Because I have friends who I went to Westwood with who are in law enforcement. They got the training, but they go to Port St. Lucie, can't blame them. We got to pay bills. And that's another thing. It's easier said than done, of course, but that's why I think we need some fresh energy in there, so we can kind of get some more funding and ideas as well. So, but yeah, we just had shootings. We've had so many shootings, in the last 2 months. Yeah. We just had a shooting 2 days ago. I thought I was talking about one shooting with somebody, and there's somebody, no, this is new. This just happened. And there was a young man at the park, and there's so much going on. So I just feel like we got to get rid of that thing that when you look up Fort Pierce and District 1, the first thing that comes up is shootings, because that's not who we are. And honestly, we're not any worse than other areas. Port St. Lucie has crime. Vero Beach has crime. Stewart has crime, so that's why I think it's also important that we put a better image out of ourselves while simultaneously dealing with the actual problem, because it is a problem that we need to try to solve.
Right. And as current residents of Fort Pierce, I'm just going to open up the floor to opinions about the plan, and do you think that this plan, if implemented, could help the community?
Well, I just want to start off by saying that crime is going to happen regardless. Right. Shootings, burglaries, robberies, fighting is going to happen. It's I don't want to say it's normal, but it happens more often than we think about. So why wouldn't you just want to secure your home and know what's going on the outside? While you're not home, while you're sleeping. We have families, children, grandparents, pets. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's an awesome idea. And I know nowadays, people don't want to be labeled as a quote-unquote snitch. So I feel like this gives people the opportunity to submit evidence or recording anonymously without putting your face out there, without being labeled this thing in the because there's a stigma for people that tell on each other. So I think it's an awesome idea. I think people should want to do it, and Yeah. Go ahead.
I agree.
I agree too. That's it.
I understand, and I do want to say too that it's not to also with the ideas I have, I kind of think it all through. So it's I'm not just trying to catch people, because sometimes people, unfortunately, people do things. There's some people, I'm not saying anything's justified, but that's why I also want to make sure we bring money into these communities. That's why I want to impact people by getting them trained. So not only I'm trying to increase being able to catch someone, but I'm trying to decrease the people having to do the crime through the trade thing. So it's not just, you're finna put cameras in there and trying to catch all our brothers and sisters. It's a simultaneous thing, because there's some things that need to be dealt with on the outer, but there's also some inner things. And that's my plan. So the security community plan it kind of increases accountability, because we are nothing but our choices. But also through the trade program, it increases that lessons that need to rob somebody, to think you got to do that. Even with young people, getting more, get better jobs for younger people, so that we can just increase activities and things going on in our community, so that we're kind of leveraging it all. So it's not to do one or the other, but to kind of meet both needs. Let's say both physically and spiritually.
Right. and I totally agree with implementing, getting people more jobs, more jobs, less crime. That's just, that's just how the balance. Yeah, literally that's just how the balance works. You know what I'm saying? More jobs, more money, the less crime it is. And then, the more money, the more taxes. So, the better the schools are going to get, the better the community is going to get. So it's just a trickle down effect. So with that being said, your multi home ownership initiative, your 4-year plan, I really want to talk about that because that's a real huge need in the community right now is housing. So I'm gonna just let you just dive straight into that because everybody needs to know that.
Yeah, I mean, the best way that we're going to fight gentrification in District 1 is ownership. We need way more ownership, and the first thing to do that is to own your home, own where you live. And we need more people to do that. And I want to get more young people to move back to their home. And I know a lot of times we have to go move to Port St. Lucie or Vero Beach or whatever due to not being able to find the kind of style, maybe home we want or the price. But I want to figure out what we can do to make our hometown more appeasing and not just young people, but anyone looking to come to Fort Pierce and be a part of the progression. We need to be more homeowners, and there needs to be more homeowners within District 1. A lot of the property too within District 1 is a lot of it is project housing and it's space owned by the government, which I don't agree with that you're paying, even if you're only paying $100 or $200 a month, you're paying that for the rest of your life, never to own a piece of that land. And I want to change that to make it to where we can have where people who are living in project housing now can be in a home, like a rent to own situation with whatever they're already paying the government, which would probably mean me reaching out to the new chair of HUD. But I've already followed her on Instagram, and people understand how easy you can communicate through social media. I've talked to different mayors of different cities, mayors of Atlantic City, just by simply Instagramming them. So I have begun to follow her. And my role would be to reach out to her because she's another African American woman who is now the chair of HUD, and the HUD essentially, is housing authorities with the projects. And I think that the government should not just have a situation where people are paying less and never own it, but even whatever they're paying already, there should be an ownership element component to that to actually fix the problem. So my goal would be to not only help with project housing and changing it from just a vulturing system to more of a rent-to-own situation, but also working with developers and hopefully some Black and brown developers to build more housing options for us, not just older people, but young people wanting to live here, right in Fort Pierce, right in District 1. And we want to find, we need affordable housing. So I think that would just be me working with developers to create sensible, affordable housing situations. And I really have a passion, because I don't feel like the future of Fort Pierce can't have project housing in it. Not saying the people have to go, but what it is and what it represents, which is just really stalling and crippling a lot of people. I think, a better Fort Pierce is turning what is now project housing into, Black and brown owned communities, homeowner associations within these same areas with the same people, and giving them that opportunity to own the lot. You don't got to own acres, but we can kind of take the plan that Lakewood Park has, where they don't own acres of land, but they own something, and they have their nice mobile home on top of it. And most of the homes in the projects housings are not like 5 bedrooms anyway, so I'm not talking about building that kind of thing. I'm talking about building reasonable 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, maybe 3-bedroom housing on lots where they already stand, and giving those same people opportunity to own it, and then building reasonable multi-purpose housing for ourselves to move back into our hometown and own a home. That's really the goal with that. Just own it, because if you own it, then nobody can take it away from you unless you set the price, and we should start setting it much higher.
Right, definitely. I'm just going to open up the panel to opinions about home ownership, just as a Fort Pierce resident and just as a young person getting ready to buy a home in the near future.
It's a great idea. Eventually, I would want to own, so I'm all for it.
Same thing. My grandmother owns her home since she's been living there for, I say, since I was born. So like 35 years she's lived there. And she also owns other property as well. So investing into the homes, I really do agree with everything that you're saying, because I believe into like renting and owning the home as well, and investing into other properties that's within Fort Pierce and making it your own and doing whatever you would like with it as well.
I definitely agree with home ownership, especially for us youthful individuals. I'm all about maximizing everything that you have, and I'm all about obtaining assets. Like I was telling you, Mr. Duhart earlier, your first property, you shouldn't even look at it as your home. It should be looked at as an investment opportunity, because what you want is you want that home to be paid for by other people. So if we can start doing those type of movements at 24, 25, 26, 22, 23 years of age, there's no telling what we can accomplish by 30, 35, 40. And we're also going to be teaching the younger generation looking up to us to do the same exact thing. So yeah, I definitely agree with home ownership and making it possible in any way possible for younger individuals to get into that.
And with home ownership is going to come a lot of a lot of investment opportunities to invest into the community. That's gonna just give Fort Pierce another opportunity to change in itself, like a rebranding. That's one of the points that you pointed out, that you wanted to rebrand Fort Pierce, and I just wanted to know, like, how are you going to rebrand Fort Pierce in a positive way?
So the easy thing about rebranding of Fort Pierce is not that I have to make up stuff, but just shining a light on what already exists. And a lot of times we unfortunately have people doing our own publicity, and it's not always in the best light. So I feel like we need to take the time, and I will definitely work with the city to, one, create a platform for District 1 specifically on all social media platforms, where I will show, positive lights of our district and things that go on. But also highlight the positive things on our Fort Pierce City Hall page of what is actually going on, and being a part of controlling that narrative. Again, like I said before, from things that happen such as for art's sake, you as, being a host and doing everything that you do, everything you do with your stock classes and everything that you do in the community, those things should be what we use to highlight and help show what really exists here in this community. We have such a diverse community, from Hispanic community, Haitian and island communities, just we have white communities here as well. We have different, it's such a diverse area, from different cultures. And I think we need to show that more. So one of the things I would do is work with the city manager and the grant department to secure funding specific for promotional reasons. And so that not only can I put out this information, but use technology to get this information out, not to just local, but abroad, to rebrand what District 1 is, and not by creating a lie, but just by highlighting what really exists. Because a lot of times they show moments, but they don't show the full picture of what happens. And what happens here is beautiful events of people coming together of all ages. What happens is different families and groups and representations, the Robinsons, the Martins, the Lees, the Watson family. It doesn't really matter. It's like they don't understand how powerful their grandchildren and granddaughters and nieces and nephews are, and we talk all the time, but that doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't get highlighted, that we are a generation of Fort Pierce and what we're doing. So, and not just that, but things such as Pastor Hazel, who just opened up a clinic right in the projects. You got people like Mama Elsie and people who've been taking care of the young kids of this area for years. And these are the people that I want to see on murals. So therefore, I want to spend more money on beautification murals, not of Martin Luther King or MLK, but of Mama Elsie, say of Miss Jackson, of Miss Watson. That's who I want to see on the wall. Joanne Robinson. These are the people that have impacted us. So these are who we should see on these walls. So I think rebranding will come social media wise, but also spending our beautification money on things that actually make us proud, and eventually getting rid of the alphabet system. I would love to be turning on, Alexander Lane, and then making a right on Joyce Jackson Park. And I don't care what the dollar sign is. There's money everywhere. People first thing be like, it's gonna cost money. That we're not asking you that, because we're not asking you this. We're not a generation that's asking you for the money. We're just gonna take our seat and we're gonna go get the money. So for me, that's the new Fort Pierce, that rebranding both physically and also using social media, which won't be as hard to get that image of what Fort Pierce really looks like out.
And I'm just gonna open it up about the rebranding, and how can you as young community activists play a part in the rebranding of Fort Pierce?
Well, Fort Pierce has a a rich, rich, deep history. There's a lot of great people that came from our city. We have athletes, like myself, not gonna be biased, but like myself. We have artists, we just activists, we have teachers, just coaches, just so many people that has done well in our community, and I feel like we should definitely highlight that. We have my dad, Jerome Gaiman, executive director of Frontline for Kids. He also played a big part in the community. Everybody knows my dad would go out his way to do for other people's kids, and I feel like we should definitely rebrand and focus on that instead of the turning on Avenue D and Avenue E and going down J. We should definitely make it more positive and vivid and just lively and make it look good, whether it's through social media, whether it's through, our peers or whatever, because we're all active on social media. We all have, a group of people that we're surrounded with or around. So yeah, I think that should be number one thing that we should do, honestly. Make Fort Pierce look how it's supposed to look, which is good and pretty, so yeah.
Same, I think about with rebranding. I was just having a conversation with my grandmother the other day about this, about how Fort Pierce started from nothing, and then a lot of people moved away from Georgia back in like 1940s to move here to Fort Pierce and build their own homes. But they started by coming small in little bits. So to me, with rebranding, it starts with communication and being for the people. It's really like my grandmother told me, like Mr. Rufus used to pick up them from the bus stop and take them to the nursing home and take them to work and to and from work until they saved up enough money to have a car, make money to have a car and save for apartments and have their own way to get there and get things done. To me, yeah, my family is also well known because of my grandfather, Mr. Larry Lee Sr., who had passed. And he also was always talking about, he always installed in me was like communication and being a community with your people is the first thing to do. It doesn't matter about how looking pretty or anything. You have to be wanting to build together, to be wealthy together. And that's where it all starts from there. So yeah, that's what I see as rebranding and everything.
Listen, I was gonna say, boy, they dropped some heavy weight just then. So I'm gonna make this one quick though. But I agree with what both of you guys said. I agree with what you said as too, Mr. Duhart. I also want to just interject that for the people, by the people, is how we can rebrand the community. Like you said, Mommy Elsie, Larry Lee, these figures that have done so much for the city, that has continued to pump money into the city. Showing appreciation, like my mom used to always say this, showing a little appreciation to take you way farther than money can ever take you. So when you start to show appreciation to those front runners, it opens up a sense of gratitude in them, and they're able to now teach you the same system or the same game of, how you can better your own community in the same way that they did. You get what I'm saying? And we just implement. We take our new way with their old way, and we mash it together, and we get our way.
But their old way is still their new way too. That's how we.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you just work it all at the same time, and you get the same result that we want at the end of the day. That's what I said.
I also just want to say what they say nowadays, let's give these people their flowers. We should acknowledge the greats from Fort Pierce while also gardening and seeding new flowers. And, we're a new generation, and, it's time to come forward and take over and make a change. So.
I think our generation is different from
Yeah.
everybody else.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We ready.
I would definitely say that we are breaking down those generational blocks that has been in Fort Pierce, and that's what they trained us to do. And I think that's what needs to be reminded too, that this is what you trained us to be. And there's so many people that go. It's like there's Mr. Duval, Mr. Drummond, there's Pastor Hazel. There's so many people, Miss Janice, that go unheard. Who did some real work in the community. So I just feel like that's gonna be very important for us to keep honoring them.
And last point, I just want to bring up the Joanne Robinson Second Chance Center. I just want to, what is that project all about? And just give us a little info about that.
So the Joanne Robinson Second Chance Center is named after my late grandmother, Joanne Robinson, who just always, gave people a second chance, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. And, everyone has a grandmother like that, whether, she's still here or not. And so you can understand why, I would name it after my grandmother. I would like to work with Angels of Hope and Pastor Hazel at Image of Christ, who have done a lot of work when it comes to the homeless community here in the Treasure Coast, and build not necessarily a shelter, but a center, a rehabilitation center that would basically be a program that I would create either a board or committee, which is something I could do as a city commissioner, to give them access to resources like properties and financial in a grant department, to basically maybe use property that the city already owns to repurpose it as a rehabilitation center. So it will be a curriculum, maybe an 8-month to a year program that you sign up in as someone who may be homeless within the area, families, women with children, because you wouldn't believe it, there's a lot of homeless people too with kids. And basically this center would basically tunnel you into a program to help you get back to being just a regular tax-paying citizen, a place to stay, a job, and it would be a program that you can enter into as someone who's homeless, and it wouldn't just be necessarily giving out fish, but teaching people how to fish. That's the method. That's what my grandma would say, teach them how to fish. So that's the program I would teach and be a part of, hopefully working with these local nonprofits who've been doing the work for years, using my new, skills and understanding technology and how to get resources. And hopefully, 'cause we don't have a huge homeless population, and that should be even better reason for us to meet the need of the ones that we do have. And basically it'd be a program that, hey, not everybody who's homeless too wants to necessarily get back to work, but there are people who, if you gave them that chance, the Second Chance Center, they do it. They make that same man at Walmart right now with the sign. If I came to him and was like, hey, we're going to put you in something, it's going to be 8 months to 10 months. There are rules in the sense of, we want you to get better. We want to you have to get to a place. There is a goal to meet, but we're going to help you get there. We're going to help you get back to not just work, but maybe passionate work, what you like doing. We got a trade that we can pay for you. We can work with local, landlords and residential areas to help them finding places to stay. And we can also figure out what they're passionate about and help them find a passion, so that when they go back, they're not just going back to work as like some robotic person. We're trying to just rejuvenate people to whoever they are naturally. So that's what the Joanne Robinson Second Chance Center would be. And that would be definitely a passion project for me, which makes it even more likely because, that would be a priority for me. And I'll make sure that happens as soon as possible. And I've already spoken with leaders who've been doing a lot of work in the homeless community, and they're all on board and in support of it. And I really believe that the wisdom that Pastor Hazel has at Image of Christ and Mr. David at Angels of Hope will allow us to make this come to fruition.
And anybody else want to just chime in on the center?
Love the name. Love it. It is very befitting of who she was. It embodies her as an individual. I don't want to get too informed about whatever, but love it. Love everything it stands for, and I feel like if she was here today and she heard that platform idea, she would definitely be excited about it and hopeful for it to go through. And to also just input, it's sad that in this city we don't have anything for homeless people. And it's terrible. We barely have anything for recovering addicts or even abuse situations. We don't have much help for individuals in a situation that's trying to get out. And to not only try to build a housing for them, but to also give them the ability and the wherewithal to help themselves, to get them back on their feet. I think that will be something that they would greatly appreciate as well, because like you said, you can give a person a fish all day, but we're not eternal. We're not immortal. We're gonna leave someday. So if I continue to give you that fish every day when I'm gone, how will you survive? So the fact that you're implementing something to rebuild their foundation within themselves, because some of them lack confidence, some of them may lack education, and honestly, a lot of them are very educated. They just went through a hard time. So it's just about building them up and I can see that you're really passionate about doing that, and that's something that you want to do. And I love it. I love the idea. I love everything about it.
And this has been a great panel. It's been a really great panel, very informing, and I'm glad that you got a chance to explain your platform and to give people a chance to just, get inside of your head and see your ideas and get a clear vision for your vision for the city of Fort Pierce and you being a candidate and what you offer to the city of Fort Pierce as, as one of the potential leaders. So this was very informative, and I appreciate everybody that's on this panel tonight, all the young youth activists in the community, this young brother right here who's trying to make a change in his home city. And we just gonna give it up to Mr. Henry Duhart, the candidate for city commissioner. And I am your host, Ty Watson, and it has been a pleasure to be here with you guys.